Parashat Pinchas is named after Pinchas, even though most of the parasha is concerned with sacrifices and celebrating the festivals. The events of Pinchas took place last week. And in it, after Bilam has failed to curse the Jewish people, he then appears to go home, but in fact, he comes back again to Balak and gives him the advice that the best way to defeat the Israelites is by sending in the dancing girls and using arayot, the corruption of sex, to undermine their authority. And that seems to work. The princesses, the most attractive girls, come forward, meet the aristocracy of the Israelites and seduce them. And in one particular case, this Midianite woman, she manages to entrap one of the princes, and they get together in a tent in front of Moses and Aaron and everybody and defy them by behaving in a totally immoral way. Moses and Aaron are dumbfounded. They just don't know how to respond. They've never been faced with such arrogant rebellion against all the values that they've been trying to teach for 40 years. And out comes Pinchas, this young man from the priestly family, and he steps forward, he grabs hold of the spear from somewhere, and he rams the spear through both of them, lying on top of each other in the tent. And it seems that there was a plague going on at the time, and this plague suddenly stopped as a result of Pinchas's action. The rabbis, the commentaries, are intrigued by this event for several reasons. Number one, who is this man who dares to take the law into his own hands in front of Moses and Aaron? This looks like arrogance in the face of the leadership. Secondly, where was due process? There wasn't a court, there wasn't a judgment, he just took the law into his own hands. And in fact, the Midrash says that the princes really wanted to deal with him judicially. They weren't very happy about this. And that's why in this week's Sedra, God intervenes and says, look, there is a law which says that a priest who murders, no matter what good he does, what else, cannot be a priest. But because of this particular situation, I'm making an exception in the case of Pinchas, and Pinchas will be allowed to continue to lead the priesthood into the next generation, as in fact he did. So what we have is an example of what we would call zealous extreme, of the fanatic who ignores the law, takes the law into his own hand, and kills, because he believes with all his heart this is the right thing to do, which is very impressive in one way. But in another way, it's very dangerous. It's taking the law into your own hands, and if everybody would do that, we would have utter chaos. And that is why you have these 2 points of view. The point of view of society, which says we have to have law and structure, we can't break it. And the point of view of God, who says sometimes there are exceptions, and sometimes the hour calls for remarkable action. So what the Torah is saying is we do not advise this as the way to deal with problems. On the other hand, we can recognize the passion of commitment. And that was a feature of the priesthood. They were supposed to be absolutely passionately committed. And they did a wonderful job for a long period of time. And yet we also know the priesthood became corrupted. They were buying and selling the high priesthood. They were seduced by non-Jewish Baal and by Greek pagan worship. And in the end, their control was taken away from them by circumstances. But nevertheless, the idea in religion that there is room for the passionate, even though there is not room for the fanatic who takes the law into his own hands.